Welcome back, you guys. Make sure you put your name on your paper first thing. Got a little spot there this time. Put our names there. And today we're talking about rational numbers. All right, there's 4 different vocabulary words that you'll be learning about, and one of them is rational number. Terminating decimal is another one. Repeating decimal and bar notation. And if it's all right with you guys, I'm going to let us just write some definitions on the back side of this paper, and then we'll be done. All right, let's start with the first one. We're going to have an example of converting a fraction to a blank. What do you guys think goes there? Yeah, you're right. Converting fractions to decimals. Goodness gracious. All right, so if there's a blank number, forget about it until the last blank. So if there is a whole number, forget about it until the last step. So whole number, forget about until the last step when we're done. All right, today we're going to put the fraction in our calculator, but we're going to, instead of using the ABC key, which would just simplify that fraction to a smaller one, we're going to actually use it as a division problem. Because what that's going to do, it's going to force it to go into a decimal number. So let's start with the first one. So we're going to actually take the number 5 and divide it by 8. Well, why? Because we forgot about that whole number for just a minute to the last step. We took the 5 and we divided it by the 8. This will be the decimal number that will come out. So we're going to put this will be the decimal that will actually come out of there. If there was a blank number, stick it in front of the blank. So if there happened to have been a whole number, stick that whole number in front of the decimal. Easy, easy, easy. All right, so let's talk about that. First step, take the whole number, forget about it. So I'm just going to actually just put it right here if that's okay. 2. Then step 2, put the fraction in the calculator as a division problem. So here we go. We're going to put this in the calculator. 5 divided by 8. Sorry, that's 8 divided by 8. 5 divided by 8. And that's what came out, was your decimal number. There's where you put the 0.625. And then the last step is to stick the whole number in front of it. So the overall answer is 2.625. And that's how you take a fraction and turn it into a decimal number. Let's go ahead and try some together. If you guys are all right with this, I'm going to let's do these ones together here. Together, together, here we are together. Okay, and then this one over here will be your turn all by yourself. Then we'll check those in class. All right, let's do some together. Here we go. 11 divided by 5, use the division sign this time. 11 divided by 5 is 2.2. Hopefully you have your calculator with you and you can follow along with me. Can we take a negative number and have it also be turned from a fraction to a decimal? Yes, you can, but you just remember that the negative is still there. 17 divided by 4 is 4.25. Yay! Here's another negative number, 2, and then 3/5. Now you're going to get really good where you'll be able to see fractions and know what their equivalent decimal is. And I think 1/5 is one of those. Of course 1/4 is, because 1/4 of a dollar is a quarter, right? And 1/2 of a dollar is 50 cents. And 3/4 of a dollar is 75 cents. But one of the ones you want to memorize is 1/5 of a dollar, and that's 20 cents. And if you had 3 of those, 20, 40, 60, it should be 0.60. But let's check it. 3 divided by 5 is 0.6. And I like to make it money, and I like to put the 0 on the end. But you don't necessarily have to do that. There's a lot of crackling noise going on here. All right, let's go to the next one over here, and let's do the other side. This time, let's convert decimals to blank. Fracciones. Fractions. All right, so let's go ahead and look at what it really looks like as place values if you were doing decimals. We got thousands here, so what do we start with after the whole number when the dot starts? We have our tenths. Then we have our hundredths. Sorry. I think there is a D in there. DTHS, and then we have our thousandths with a DTS. Here's an example. If we have a negative 6.54 and they want us to take that decimal and turn it into a fraction, we got to do a little bit more tricky work here. So here, as we said before, if there's a whole number or an integer, I like integer because it's a negative or positive either way, but you know, we'll go from there. Don't worry about it, forget about it until the last step. Can you see a pattern here going? All right, number 2, remove blank blank and put the number on blank of its blank. Okay, that's a lot of blankety blanks, I say. Remove the decimal, and put this number on top of its place value. So whatever we have on the bottom, we're going to determine what the place value is. You will simplify the fraction using the calculator or the decimal by putting it in a fraction in the calculator. If there was a blank number, stick it in front of the blank. Okay, like we said before, if there's a whole number, go ahead and put it back in front of your fraction. Should we try some? Let's do it. Oh, by the way, there's a really cool key on here, and it is under the PRB key that takes it from fraction to decimal, decimal to fraction, and we've talked about it in some of our classes. I hope that you noticed that. Oh my goodness, it looks to me like we have to use these ones right here now to practice that. All right, if we're taking this number and we're going to put it into a fraction, see how there's 3 decimal spots right there? What you would do is you would be putting it over one more than's listed here. So if there's 3 there, you'd put it under 4 digits, so it'd be over 1,000. I hope this makes sense. It takes some effort, takes some practice. So if I have 375, and I'm not going to put over 100 because there's one more place value there. I'm going to see if our calculator can handle this because it might not. But let's try it. 375, and this time you do use the ABC key. I'm going to put ABC key on here so you know. Okay. 375 over 1,000. Yes, it will handle it. What it will do is it'll slim it down to the appropriate fraction. So this slims down to 3/8. All right, the next one says negative 1.06. Take the negative 1, set it aside, and put this digit, which there's 2 place values here, this digit over one more place value. So if there's 2 here, there has to be 3 on the bottom. So it's 6 over 100. I know it's strange, but that's what it is. So 6 ABC 100 slimmed down to 3 over 50, which we probably knew that without even having to do the calculator. So the answer is a negative 1 and 3/50. Let's go to the last one. Tuck that guy aside, the negative 2. Let's just go ahead and put it right here, negative 2. And let's put the 65, there's 2 place values, over one more underneath it. So 65 ABC 100, and it slims down to 13 over 20. All right, I'm going to let you guys take a break and try on your own this piece right here while I'm getting ready for the back side. Okay. All right, if you need more time, you can pause me, but I'm going to go ahead and carry on. The definition of an undefined fraction is any number that is divided by 0. So if you put in your calculator 5 divided by 0, it's going to show error, which really means it's undefined. And maybe I'll put that fun little Studio C video up where that explains how he divided by 0 and it blew up the building. But anytime you divide by 0, it's going to be an error. Now wait, look at this. If I do 0 divided by 5, is it okay? 0 divided by 5? Yes, it's 0. So keep in mind that if you have an undefined fraction, it's because there's a 0 on the bottom. I hope that makes sense. Let's talk about terminating, and then we're all done with this lesson. A terminating decimal is exactly what it sounds like. It's a decimal that ends. It terminates. It's over. It's done. So if you have an example like 0.375, there's no more numbers that are behind it. It actually terminates. It ends. It's finite. The definition of finite is, you could say, like a finite number of people are at the beach, because you could count them. You could say a finite number of grains of sand at the beach. Well, that's a lot of sand, but you could count it if you had to. Let's go ahead and try another terminating one. If you have the number 0.066 with a repetend, that's going to go on and on and on forever with the same number, 66666666666, but eventually it's going to round off. Now, this is something I've been wanting to tell my classes for a long time, but if you take this one and you try and put it over a number, and remember I told you if there's 2 digits here, you do one more. Well, this goes on and on forever, so if I put this over a number, like 100, I'd have to have zeros going on forever. So here's the trick. Take a little bit off the bottom, and then you can round this piece. So if I round this piece to 66, and I take a little bit off the bottom, which would have been 100, a little bit off of that would have been 99. So what that does is it takes this repetend to come off, this bar notation, and then you're able to manage that. And if you put 66 ABC 99 in the calculator, it's going to pop out as 2/3, which is exactly what it is. So anytime you see a repetend that goes on and on and on forever, it still is a terminating decimal, but you've got to take a piece off the bottom, and that's something that test takers love. They try to put that on every test. One more thing, if you have a number like pi, okay, some people put 22/7, and that number goes on and on forever. Let's just put it in the calculator, pi, and you push equals. That number goes on and on crazy forever. I hope you can see that. 3.141592654, and it keeps going. There's a little arrow up that says it keeps going. That is not a terminating decimal because it goes on and on till the end of time. So remember, these right here are irrational, and they're not terminating. They go on forever and ever. So just keep that in mind, that that's the definition of those. All right, I hope you have a great one. I'll see you in class.